Then the traffic cleared, then he travelled, he's got late. Then as he started to drive faster, then another sign came, roadworks. Then some restrictions, the lanes were reduced, obstacle, cars ground to halt again. Long queue, traffic queue, and more late. Another hour, hour and a half, then he carries on. It's a long journey to London. Then on the way another situation arose, then another restriction. Eventually, ultimately, when he arrived to London, then his estimate was a few hours? 6-7 hours late he was. And his interview or the task he had, the meeting, due to being late, he failed in his mission, in his objective. So this is an example, a common example of the journey of this dunya, common journey that is undertaken by lots of people. But the real journey is not this journey. The real journey for us, we are travelers, we are musafirin, and that is the journey to the akhirah, the journey to the hereafter, and the destination of our journey, which we have been told, we are journeymen, we are travelers, and our manzil, our destination is what? It is the pleasure of Allah, the rada of Allah. Allah says, radiyatan mardiyah, that when you get to your destination, you should be in such a condition that I'm happy with you, Allah says, and you should be happy with me. In our records, but why don't we get to the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Why? Because Radai Ilahi, what is the sign of Allah's pleasure that somebody does? If we realize that this is the sign that Allah is happy with me, what's that? What are the barriers on the way to Allah? That's what we need to think about. Allah has told us today, those barriers to Allah's nearness are, Allah says, my disobedience, sins. Yeah, you start the journey, you travel, you worship, but when the barriers come, the hurdles come in front of you, that Allah giving you the tawfiq to pray salah, but after that you commit the sins at the same time, that your car stops then, you can't drive further because you've committed a sin. How will your car move forward? Allah says, I allow you to do Hajj, I gave you the ability to do Hajj. After Hajj, you go back towards the sins. So how can you get to me? Because another barrier, you've hit the barrier, you haven't gone past it. So the enjoyment is when a person prays salah, after praying salah, no barrier should come in front of him, he should not commit any sins. This is not difficult, totally not hard at all. This is where we fall into the trap, and this is where we fail. That's where lots of people will fail in the hereafter. Yes, the biggest loss of the person who's on the journey, he works hard in life, and then he keeps on drowning his deeds. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, Allah says that don't waste your deeds. Don't throw your deeds away. Allah says, oh you people of belief, I'll give you the tawfiq to do great deeds, such amal. Why do you commit sins? Why do you disobey me? Why do you shun what I tell you? If you shun what I'm telling you, if you disobey me, then the barrier will come. You'll hit the barrier, then you'll go into reverse. You won't be able to travel forwards. Unnecessary actions. Yes, unnecessary actions when he gets occupied and busy, or he makes himself busy with wasteful actions, unnecessary actions, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from Allah's direction, what happens? What comes? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah ta'ala, all his ma'amulat, all of his positive issues, positive affairs, they are eliminated. Adab is given to him, and he is linked to munkar, to wrong actions. This is a big hadith we need to understand. That when a person does unnecessary actions, wasteful actions, actions that will not give him any benefit, then from Allah Ta'ala's direction, Allah says that his connection with Allah, that he created with his deeds, Allah says, I reject them. I reject his deeds and I break that connection, Allah says, with my servant. And I make him occupied with adab, with punishments, with distress, with difficulties. Yes, so unnecessary actions. Another Sahabi radiyallahu anhu, he narrated a similar hadith, that when a person doesn't do good actions, then he loses the capability to speak the truth, to do good. He loses that right to speak good and to do good. He goes into darkness. So my brothers, the unnecessary actions, sins, to do sins, we need to leave sins, we need to reject sins. Action we do, any task we do which is not necessary, when you become busy in that, occupied in that, what is something that's not necessary? What's a wasteful action? What are the actions that are idle, that make us born idle? We say, okay, fine, we understand that either. But what's unnecessary? So the definition of unnecessary action is such an action that you're occupied in, or busy in, or doing, which doesn't give you any benefit for the hereafter. That's the definition. Yes? Which has no link to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes? It cannot make any benefit for you in the hereafter. What do we define that as? This is an unnecessary action. It can be anything. Anything. You sat down, or you sat down for 3 hours chatting to someone. Salah passes, comes and goes.